Hello, everyone. This is Letao, your astrologist and your spiritual counselor. Thank you very much for joining this video. Today, we're going to do a little bit astrology know-how video, and just to give you a little bit more, everyday knowledge and everyday tips on understanding how astrology works for you. And so recently, I've received some questions about Letao. You talk about new moon, full moon, and you also do monthly readings based on the new moon and full moon each month. Why is that? Why do we care about the new moon and the full moon? And so today, let's simply talk about the new moon. And in the next episode, we're going to talk about what full moon is spiritually and metaphysically to us. Now, before we even talk about new moon, you probably would need to understand what moon is about in astrology and in our psychology. And so then it will be easier for us to understand when this energy is new and when it's full, right? And how does that affect us? So first of all, what we do need to know is in astrology, the moon rules our inner emotion. It rules our security. It rules what we are emotionally attached to. It also rules our early childhood, our early living environment, as well as sometimes our mother or father, depending on which parent of yours is more domestic. Now, more often than not, is talking about our mother, because traditionally speaking, our father is the one working outside, and the mother is the one that we spend most of our time with. And so sometimes the moon's energy also is reflecting what kind of mother or what kind of childhood feelings you have. Yeah, specifically if you spent the majority of your time with your mom. Now, for some people, it could be talking about your father. If your mother was the one, hustle and bustle career, and if your father was the one taking care of you, stay-at-home dad, then the moon sign would be more associated with your father's energy. So it's really case by case. But traditionally speaking, it's more towards the mother, the maternal side of our mind. And so that's the reason why, for example, when you go to a psychologist and you're talking about some emotional issues or trauma or challenges, and usually the psychologist will ask you, tell me about your childhood. What kind of early family environment did you grow up in? I mean, isn't that interesting? Because that's what the moon rules. The moon is about your emotional attachment, your emotional needs. At the same time, the moon also represents your early childhood environment and also your mother's energy. And so you can see this very interesting synchronicity, right, between astrology and modern psychology. Now, the moon is constantly moving around the earth. And so we also talk about, what is your moon sign, right? Apart from your sun sign. So for example, if you are born, let's say October the 1st, and then okay, you're a Libra, but that's your sun sign, meaning where the sun's position is at the time you were born. But you also have your moon sign. And moon sign is talking about at the time you were born, where the moon is. If the moon is transiting or located in this constellation sign of, for example, Pisces, then we say you're a moon in Pisces. Your moon sign is Pisces. So, in order to find out your moon sign, because the moon's movement is different from the sun, yeah, so it's very difficult to pinpoint what your moon sign is just by knowing the birth date. And so it's important that you consult an astrologist, a professional, to find out what your moon sign is. There are also some websites you can access for free, and you will need to input your birth year, birthday, birth time, and also where you were born. Because as you can tell, for example, physically, I'm located in Hong Kong, and we have a huge time gap between, let's say, well, if you're in California, right? So that's about 15, 16 hours difference. And so when you have all these kind of information, you put it on those websites such as astrology.com, there are many you can easily find. And then you will be able to see, to know what your moon sign is. And that's one of the ways to find out. Then after you find out your moon sign, and then you will know what kind of general feeling your moon is in. Now, this is usually showing, for example, how you react to things emotionally, right? For example, if your moon sign in Aries, which is a cardinal fire sign, right? Aries is all about this robust, soldier, right? Military feeling, right? Go for what you want. It's about who I am, right? Courage, independence. So moon sign in Aries people, generally speaking, when they react to a situation, they can be quite sporadic, let's put it this way, right? So let's say, for example, when you are driving on the road, just a simple example, and someone, let's say they accidentally, let's say they bumped your car, right? Or they scrapped your car. And so moon in Aries people's first reaction is, what the hell, right? And they want to get out of the car. They want to, get this thing done. They might react sometimes maybe in a more angry way. But on the opposite, if your moon sign is in Libra, see, Libra is about diplomacy. Libra is about relationships. And so the first thing that moon sign in Libra people want to do is to negotiate. They want to talk. And so as an air sign, Libra is really afraid of lacking conversation and communication. And this also applies to moon sign in Gemini, because Gemini is also an air sign, it's a mutable air sign, right? And so you will realize that, when your moon in different signs, you will react things in different ways. And sometimes that also gives you a feeling of what your mother is. I've seen more often than not, if your moon sign is in Aries, it's very possible that your mother carries very strong Aries energy. This could be about maybe your mother's sun sign is Aries, right? It could be about your mother's ascendant sign or rising sign is Aries. Or I've also seen situations, maybe your mother is not an Aries, but your mother might have some very strong Mars placement on her chart. For example, I have a client, her moon sign is in Capricorn. Now, when I asked her about her mother, and it turned out that actually, so because she also knows her mother's birth time, so we looked at her mother's chart. Her mother is not a Capricorn, actually, but her mother has Saturn in the first house and very close to the rising point, right, the ascendant. And so her mother carries a very strong Saturnian energy, which is, very Capricorn, because Saturn is a ruler of Capricorn, right? So this is about discipline. This is about following the rules. This is about being traditional. This is about being a disciplinarian, right? Things like that. And also, responsibilities, right? And so also one more thing, Capricorn and Saturn tends to carry, which is being very conservative, that kind of energy. And so by knowing your moon sign, you will be able to realize why sometimes emotionally speaking, you react to things in a certain way. And more often than not, probably you will be able to identify with your moon sign more than your sun sign. And I think I talked about the difference between your sun and moon in the previous astrology chat video. The moon sign energy is not something you need to learn, because this is a natural reaction coming from you. So probably it's easier for you to identify with your moon sign when you think about, oh, do I do that, right? Do I react like that? It's very reactive rather than, based on your decisions. But the sun sign is not something you already are. The sun sign is more talking about what you are becoming in this lifetime, because the sun represents the illumination in our life. So it's really pointing at the goal or where you're walking towards in this lifetime. So for example, if you are sun sign in Gemini and your moon sign, let's say in Pisces, and so especially when you are younger, in your teenage years, 20s, and even early 30s, you might be able to identify with your moon sign in Pisces a lot more than your sun sign in Gemini. Maybe you're feeling very compassionate. towards people. Maybe you tend to feel for other people, sometimes even to the point that you lack boundaries, right? You let other people take too much from you. And that's what Pisces moon is about. It's about compassion, empathy, right? Imagination, and things like that. Perhaps your mother is a Pisces, or maybe your mother is a woman who is a little bit, she carries a very strong Piscean energy. Maybe she's a Pisces, or maybe she has very strong Neptune placement on her chart. But the sun sign in Gemini for you is not about you feel like a Gemini, but it's more telling you that in this lifetime, there's a skill and there's illumination for you to reach or for you to find in this lifetime. And Gemini is about your communication skills. It's about mastering your communication. It's about networking, meeting people, receiving information from all different kind of sources without judgment and logical thinking, rationality. And that's what Gemini is about. And so that's why sometimes you might hear people say, oh, I'm a Gemini, but I don't really identify, and I don't feel like a Gemini. Every time I hear what people say, talk about Gemini, I don't think that's me. Well, this is a trick. Remember to check your moon sign. Perhaps that's what you really identify with. Now, we're going back to the main topic, what the new moon is about. See, if you know your moon in the sky is always a reflection of our human emotion, sense of security, our feelings, then the new moon is representing a new start of our emotional stage every month. So for example, as you know, every month the moon will come to a conjunction with the sun, and we call that the new moon day. And 14 days later, the moon will move to the other side of the earth, and that's why we see the full moon in the sky, like a shiny pancake. And then 14 days later, it goes back to the other side of the earth, and it will have a reunion with the sun, right? Again, and that's a new month based on the lunar calendar. And so each month when we're welcoming the new moon day, it's basically telling you that the moon is having a refreshing new start. It has completed one cycle around the earth, and now it's coming to a reunion with the sun, and now we are ready to bring the moon to the next stage. And that is the reason why new moon is important, because each month you will have this opportunity to refresh yourself, emotionally speaking, and finding the new goals and the new things that you want to achieve. And that is the reason why we always talk about the new moon journal. And a lot of you guys who have been to my personal counseling session, I always tell you to write your new moon journal. On the new moon day, write down your wishes. What would you like to achieve, and what would you like to change? And make that wish and ground that on a piece of paper. And which, sort of like we're synchronizing this habit with the moon's journey around the earth. And so we're seeing this refreshed energy starting, and slowly it's being fulfilled and then coming back to the beginning again. So that's the reason. And so that's the reason why each month I will also be doing a new moon reading, because I want to help you to really look at this lunar cycle once every 28 to 30 days. What is a new beginning that we can welcome? And what kind of new manifestations and new beliefs and new wishes we can bring to our practical life? And through this kind of guidance, perhaps, hopefully, we'll be able to manifest things easier, faster, and smoother. Now, thank you very much for joining this video. In the next video, I will talk about the full moon and magic with you guys. Have a wonderful day. See you next time.